Here is today's project. I'm a little late getting the camera out here. I forgot to video anything. But this auger here is the auger that we use to get the corn out of the cement silo and auger it into the back of the commodity shed. I ended up buying a new one here yesterday, which is right over in this other bay here. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the electric motor over that's on this one. That is a 10 horse 3-phase motor. We're going to put it on that auger there, and then we've got to take our hopper extension off here, which I don't think it's going to go on the other one, but I don't think I have the right size stub shaft to go in the bottom of that auger there. I might be okay. I'm not sure yet though. So that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to put the hitch back on this one. And we're going to move the gearbox down that is mounted up here. We're going to move this gearbox down, and we're going to hook it up so that this could be run with a tractor. So that's the plan as of right now here anyways. So we'll go ahead and get things switched around. I've got a couple of holes and this one to fix. I've got one here, one somewhere in here, there's one there, and then there's one up in the middle there. So we'll go ahead and get things tore apart here and get things switched around. Well, we've got the motor removed from this one. We've got that mounted onto the new one. I've got this end off of there, and then I've got the actual hitch hopper end back on there, and then I've got to somehow put this on that auger there, and then our silo chute, we put a sleeve on it that goes down onto here. The bearing that was on the end of that auger, on the end of that hopper there where they went onto the auger, was shot. We've got to get some more bolts in there. I've got to get the gearbox put into place so that this can be run with the PTO. So we've got a little bit of work left to do here. I'm gonna take this end off and then slide that tube assembly on here, just like we had on that one there. So they've got the 5-bottom plow loaded up here along with the grain drill. But this is a 15-foot Great Plains grain drill, and we haven't used this grain drill in quite a few years here. So this has got like a no-till coulter disc assembly up front here. This Wilrich plow is a 5-bottom semi-mount, and just like the other plows, it is ready to go here. It's got points on there, shins, everything is in working order here. We've got everything all loaded up, and they are going to take this stuff over to the auction too. Well, we've got just about all the work done on this one, I guess. So we've got the PTO gearbox back on here, and I patched the auger in a couple of places. This would make a good auger for dry corn or something like that. It's 10 years old, and it did have a couple of spots that we needed to fix on it. I wanted to replace it with that one there. We had a bearing gone down on the end. This is the third time that we've had to replace that bearing on that end. So we're gonna take it down to the bunk. We're gonna run it quick, run all the crap out of the auger. It's got a lot of corn that has, well, it was stuck to the sides and stuck to the flights. And now that that is all dried out, it should clean itself right out. And then I haven't figured out what I want to do with this auger. I don't know if I want to get rid of it or keep it, hold on to it. It would work good for kicking corn over the bunk wall. We have done that in the past. We've taken the blower off the roller mill, dumped into this auger, and then dumped it over the bunk wall. We have switched this around a couple of times since we've had it. We take the electric motor off, move the gearbox down like it is here now, and then we can run it with a tractor. That's why we have all these joints welded in up above here. So we'll run it, and then we've got to do some thinking here on what we're actually going to do with it. I haven't done anything with this auger over here yet. I've got to take the end off and put this other end here on that came off of this older auger here. Now, this Hutchinson company, I'm assuming that it was bought out by AGI, and I'm not sure who AGI is. I'm thinking AGI is the same company I'm thinking that Westfield and Hutchinson are in together. And I don't know if AGI is a separate company that bought both of them or what, but there's a lot of the same characteristics that Westfield auger has on it. There's a lot of that on this auger here as well. The hitch is the same as a Westfield auger. This coupler here is the same that you see on a Westfield, and the undercarriage here is more or less the same style undercarriage that a Westfield auger has. Now, this Hutchinson auger, the reason why we bought it several years ago, it was a little cheaper than the Westfield, and now these damn things here are rather expensive. So we'll go ahead and run this and get it parked, and then we can get this new auger set up and in place on the cement silo. Right, Bob? What did you do today? Change oil on the gator. Did you get a full day in? Yeah. Yeah. You sure you know what you're doing here?
Yeah, I had to think about it for a second.
It's not power shift, huh? Grab another gear. Okay, we got the PTO hooked up. There we go. You can see all the dry crap that was in there. Looks like we had a rat's nest or something in there. But it's all cleaned out now. That's running at 1,000 RPM too, so the tractor's idling That would be at like 380 PTO RPM. So, like I said, we've got to figure out what we want to do with this auger. It would work out great to transfer from one truck to another or something. Or when we get to doing high moisture corn, what we did in the past, we had the roller mill set up above. This bunk over here is our high moisture corn bunk. And the reason why we are getting ready to set up the auger is we only have a little bit of the high moisture corn left. So what we've done in the past is we have run corn over this wall, ground it out of the truck. We're running it through a hammer mill now. That has its own auger on it, and that augers over the wall. What we've done in the past, we've run that for 2 years. What we've done in the past is we have used this auger here. We take it out of the commodity, we take it out of from where it is behind that silo there going into the commodity shed. We take that out. We have used that in the past, but we would have to run it with another tractor. So we have one tractor on the roller mill and then one on the auger. 2 years ago, I ended up buying a hammer mill that had its own auger on there. So in the event that we have corn on the wrong truck or something and we want to take put dry corn on a tractor trailer or something, we could potentially use this auger for that. Or once we get doing wheat, if we have wheat on the small trucks and want to put it on a tractor trailer, this auger would be ideal for that. You could get enough height out of it to get up over the top of a tractor trailer, and it's got some size to it that it's going to move a fair amount of grain in a pretty good amount of time. It's a 10-inch, 31-foot auger. So why don't we go ahead and get unhooked from it. We'll park it out of the way and we'll call it a day, right? All right, now we're gonna work on this new auger. We're gonna get this end off so that we could put our silo adapter extension on there. We're gonna have to go ahead and cut this weld here and grind this down so that that coupler will slide over it, and then we've got to remove that nub as well, unless well, actually we probably won't have to remove the nub, because we can use that center section where that clamp goes on to come around it there. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but we're going to try it. So let's get this end off of here and see how that fits on there. The stub shaft on the end might be a different size than what we have for our bearing to go on there, but we'll just have to see how things line up here. Well, we have the end removed from the auger. We're going to go ahead and put this end on there so that it can accept the boot off of the silo chute. I have removed the handle that was on the side here, and then they had a little peg on there too, just to keep this from sliding off in the event that you're pulling it down the road. You don't want to just pull that collar off of the auger. The stub shaft on this auger is a different size than what we were using on the other one. I did get a new bearing the other day, but I wasn't aware that this stub shaft was a different size. So I have to get a bearing for an 1.25 inch shaft. That's what this end is here. And we'll just have to swap that out, but we can go ahead and put this end on here, and then I'll just have to get the appropriate size bearing to fit that shaft that's coming out of the end of the auger. I'm hoping that the distance for the bolts on this end here are the same to fit that end, or I'm going to have to get a different stub shaft to fit the appropriate size bearing. So we'll go ahead and just slide this on there, tighten up these bolts, and this will be ready to go. Well, this isn't going to work at the current length that it is. We're going to need to cut off a couple of inches on this extension that's on this end here, just so that we can get it pushed up on there enough so that it will accept the bearing. Looks like about 3 inches or so. So we'll get things measured. We'll measure down the appropriate length that we need to cut off. We'll cut it with a zip wheel. I've got these Metabo wheels, and they aren't all that great. I had a brand new one that I started with that I used to cut this handle off and this peg, and I used that much of the wheel already. Usually I use a Walter cutting wheel, and I'm out of them. Those cutting wheels are a lot better. So we'll just have to deal with what we're dealing with on a holiday weekend here. So we'll get this off of there, get things measured, and get it cut. All right, we've got our end of the auger on there. I was able to cut through the whole thing with just this one wheel here. After I got thinking about it, I said, you know what, I'll just cut it with the circular saw. But I figured I had to at least get a spot started so I could get the saw down in there, and then I looked, the gap wasn't quite wide enough for the blade to get in there, and I didn't want to distort the blade. So I said, you know what, let's see how far this wheel will go. So we did get through cutting that with just this one wheel. This one here that I used prior to it, all I did was cut the welds on the handle and that little peg, and it wore down rather quickly. So we've got that up on there. We've got that slip collar tight, and what that has done is it's enabled them two pieces to be butted up next to each other. Now you've seen that I had to take this off and pound that flighting forward a little bit, and the reason why I had to do that, I worried about the heads of the bolts that are going to be going through that bearing. I was worried about that bottom of the flight there getting caught on that one bolt, so we just adjusted that auger a little bit there so that that won't hit those bolts. Now we'll have to get a new bearing, the right size bearing for that shaft here this week sometime, and we can just reach down in here, put the new bolts in, and get that bearing on there. So we're gonna go up now after we get this mess cleaned up, get it setting into place, and like I said, we'll have to get a bearing here this week sometime. So we'll join up with you in a few minutes here once we get to setting things up here. Yeah, I'll have to go up, and then we'll have to go down, and then up, and yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna go any further than that. Just gotta lift it up onto that thing there, and there ain't a bolt up here, so we use the rock. Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, we've got this auger. It's not all set up, but it is set the way we need it. I ended up ripping this cone off of there. It was just curtain material that we use on the side of the barns, and then this stuff that we're using now is like a, I don't know what the heck it is. It's like rubbery like type stuff. The seam was glued together. However, I ended up cutting it so that we could wrap it a little tighter. The trouble with this cone is it gets smaller down towards the end. So we've got that hose clamp on there, and then we drilled 3 holes through it. And it's got a clean shot now right from the fiber funnel or the plastic funnel there right down into the auger. And then what we'll use is a clean chute, and we'll have that clean chute coming down in. We'll let it stop about right here, and then when the corn comes out of that plastic chute, it'll just fall right into the auger here. This is overlapped. It is open, but we could take some real good Gorilla Tape and tape this seam back together. The way it was made, Andrew just took off with that. The way it was made, that piece was too thick, and it didn't really allow us to be able to fold it over. So that ought to work good, huh? Get a bearing on there, let her go to town, huh? Well, alrighty, this project's done. Well, we'll close out this video with a ride into Weitzman's. We've got a load of scrap metal on truck 9 here. Today is Sunday. They're not going to be open on the 4th. And we're going to start chopping hay on Tuesday, the 6th. Or the 5th, rather. And I kind of need this truck. So we don't live that far away from the scrapyard, and it's amazing how fast we can accumulate scrap metal. This time in between first and second cut, and I actually wanted to start building a box for this truck here. This truck and truck 18 are twins. They are consecutive serial numbers, and we'll have to tell you a story about that one another time, but they both had identical boxes on them. These boxes I did not build. This box is 22 foot long, 6 foot sides, and it's a little narrower than 96 inches. And I ended up putting a box on truck 18 back in 2016, I believe, and that one's 22 by 7 foot tall, and it's 96 inches wide, so it'll hold quite a bit more. So we'll see what they're doing in at the scrapyard. Got a little filming or videoing there, and we'll see what scrap's paying. It's down a little bit from where it was here in the spring, but that is typical of this time of year. So we'll be there in a little while, and we'll see what they have going on for a Sunday. Well, we're just pulling in here now. Looks like it's kind of quiet here today. Real quiet for a Sunday. Got 10 on and some long stuff.
Got 10, so I'm going to be on the mixed load.
Yeah, mixed load.
Climb up and see. Alright, it's going under here?
Oregon, yeah.
Oregon?
Yep.
Alright.
Back to the left corner.
Yeah,
right, we'll just run across the scale and get weighed out. They only had like 3 ton on, so it was kind of a light load. Well, we're back to the shop here from our scrap iron run. Scrap ain't paying nowhere near what it pays back in early spring, but as can be expected, once we were pulling out, when we pulled in, there wasn't anybody there, and we were pulling out, oh my God. The amount of pickups that come in there with like $20 or $30 worth of scrap on there is astounding. Them guys work all day just for money and maybe a little money to buy a pack of cigarettes. I ended up getting $115 a ton. I got about $380 out of that load. We did get deducted a little bit for some dirt that we had in there. Some of that scrap iron was from a barn that my father cleaned up, and he had loaded some of it with the excavator. Had a couple of dumb lawnmowers on there and whatever like that. So Jered's putting some mud tires on the Mack here. We're gonna try these. These are skid steer recap tire. They are a 315 22.5 tire, and they're a 315/80 22.5, and they have a skid steer cap on them. Now you might be wondering, gee, Andy, why aren't your tread bars matching each other? Well, on a tractor, you want your tread bars to match. On a truck, you want them staggered. And the reason why you want them staggered is because the truck is going faster than 30 miles an hour down the road. And if you have them mounted that way, then they'll balance out a little better. You want to clock your valve stems, and then you want to make sure your tread bars are staggered like that. So that's gonna do it for this video. I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next one.